My sister and I accidentally crossed over into a beastman tribe. The Primal Spirit presented us with two choices. Become a Pharaoh 1, gaining immense strength and a powerful physique, or become the blessed vessel, blessed with exceptional fertility and an alluring figure. In our past life, my sister chose to be the Pharaoh 1 to survive, and I became the weak, tempting blessed vessel. Her body resembled that of a female gorilla, so the tribe rejected her. She was given 3 disabled males. Because of my delicate figure, I became the heart's desire of the 3 most powerful and handsome males in the tribe. Later, they rose to become kings of the wild forest, and I was revered as a goddess, basking in endless glory. My sister burned with jealousy. When no one was watching, she dragged me into a poisonous swamp, and we died together. When I opened my eyes again, we were back at the moment the Primal Spirit gave us our choices. This time, my sister chose the blessed vessel first. Elena, this time I'll be the goddess, she said. Out of pity, I'll give you those 3 crippled, impotent males. I suppressed the rush of joy inside me. What was so great about being confined like a captive, valued only for bearing children? In this primitive world, strength was everything. When I opened my eyes, the feeling of being corroded still lingered. Your lives in the modern world have ended, but your souls have been sent here by the Primal Spirit. 2 paths lie before you. 1. Become a powerful Pharaoh 1 of this world. 2. Become the blessed vessel of this world. Have you decided who will be the vessel, and who will be the Pharaoh 1? The voice of the Primal Spirit boomed with authority. We looked down from the spirit realm at the dense primeval forest below, the continent where the beastmen lived. The first time we fell onto this continent, both my sister Sierra and I had deep fear in our eyes. The roars of wild beasts declared the law of the land. Might makes right. So Sierra chose the Pharaoh 1 without hesitation. Being a Pharaoh female has its own charm, she said smugly, already dreaming of her cute beastly appearance. The Primal Spirit told us that on this continent, females were extremely rare. One female could even have multiple mates. To Sierra, that sounded like the life of a queen. She pushed me toward the center of the beastmen gathering, smiling. Elena, you've lived my life for 20 years. You can't handle hardship. Let these strong beasts take care of you. After all, this is a place where the strong rule. I ignored her sarcasm and walked straight toward the 3 beasts. Sierra was right. Strength was everything. Later, when we formed the mating contracts, those 3 fierce beasts transformed into handsome men who cherished me and waited on me hand and foot. But Sierra, because she had chosen the Pharaoh 1's strength, was given 3 crippled males. Worse, she and her males couldn't shift into human form. They were stuck in their beast shapes. Sierra burned with jealousy and sneered at me. Elena, you're so lucky. They shifted just to stay by your side. Even though you're weak, they never leave you and are completely loyal. I didn't respond. My expression was unreadable. Even weak humans have the power of wisdom. Using modern knowledge, I taught them how to make fire and how to hunt. I led their tribe, Wildwood tribe, to glory. They really couldn't live without me. But Sierra didn't know the phrase "a wolf in sheep's clothing." If they were truly loyal, they wouldn't have poisoned me into muteness and severed my tendons so I couldn't run away, just because they worried I might favor another male as their leader. They stripped me of my freedom and made me their accessory. Because of my fertility, they used me as a breeding tool. In this new life, before the Primal Spirit had even finished speaking, Sierra rushed to choose the blessed vessel. She chose those 3 beastmen from our past life without hesitation. Have you truly decided? Once chosen, there is no turning back, the Primal Spirit said, surprised that she would willingly choose the weak vessel. I choose this identity. I believe I will lead my tribe to greatness. The Primal Spirit sighed and merged her into her new body. As she passed me, she couldn't resist swaying her graceful hips. I ignored her provocation. When it was my turn, the Primal Spirit touched me lightly, and I felt a surging power bloom inside my body. Sierra looked at me with a mocking smile. Elena, this body is perfect for you. Through her eyes, I saw myself. I had become a fierce, terrifying beast. No beauty to speak of. Elena, now you have all the power and strength. I'll give you those 3 losers. This time the position of Alpha's mate and the blessed vessel will be mine. Of course I knew what she meant. In our past life, the 3 males by her side couldn't shift into human form. Not only that, but they were also naturally disabled. When a neighboring tribe attacked, they were killed by other males while trying to protect Sierra. But I knew that kind of pure devotion was the rarest thing. Since I'd been reborn and swapped fates with Sierra, I wouldn't let them die horribly again. Feeling the surging power in my body, a secret joy rose inside me. The Alpha's mate and the blessed vessel were just fancy names for the weak. If Sierra liked them so much, she could have them. In this primitive world, strength was everything. This life, I would become the ruler above all beasts, the Alpha of the wild. After the Primal Spirit assigned our identities, he sent us down to the continent of the beastmen. In our past life, Sierra had craved supreme power and handsome mates, but her inability to shift into human form turned all those dreams to dust. She treated those 3 males terribly, repulsed by their feral nature and behaviors. Accustomed to a human life, how could she ever adapt to theirs? What she didn't know was that shifting required accumulating enough power. She was lazy and entitled, always taking from the tribe without giving. Her 3 males, already weak and disabled, suffered even more under her abuse. They often came back empty-handed from hunts. Sierra constantly complained about them. When they finally managed to shift, their forms were coarse and gaunt, ravaged by lack of proper nutrition. Compared to my fair, delicate figure, she looked like a female gorilla. She regretted her choice deeply, but the tribe had a rule. You could only choose new mates if your contracted males died, or if you became the tribe leader. So when another tribe attacked Clear Spring Tribe, she used herself as bait and pushed her 3 males into a trap. After they died, she immediately tried to seduce other males. She set her sights on a sleek, handsome snake man and an ape man whose behavior resembled humans the most. But snake men were known for their promiscuity, and ape men traditionally shared their females among the tribe. What awaited Sierra was a life worse than death. Then, when the new Alpha of the Wild was crowned, all beastmen had to gather in the deepest part of the jungle for the ceremony. Sierra saw me surrounded by handsome males. They cradled me in their arms, doing everything for me. At the ceremony, I was named the Alpha's mate, with the highest honor. She burned with insane jealousy. She lured me to the poisonous swamp in the jungle and pushed me in. I couldn't fight back, my tendons had been cut. "Elena, you stole my life for 20 years. Why do you get everything I crave again?" she screamed. "You took what was mine. Go to hell." Remembering the past, my eyes darkened. Sierra was the long-lost biological daughter. I was the adopted child. When they found her, my adoptive parents couldn't bear to let me go after so many years, so they asked me to stay. Out of gratitude for my adoptive parents and lingering guilt toward Sierra, I agreed. I regretted it deeply. There were countless ways to repay kindness, but I had chosen the stupidest one. Slowly, the family's affection shifted to Sierra. When she couldn't match my grades, they made me give her my college recommendation. They let her change my major. When she wanted my fiancé, they changed the engagement and handed my happiness to her. Even my brother, once so protective of me, began to pity the hardships Sierra had endured. Every time she set me up, he believed her and punished me instead. She told everyone I had stolen her life. To others, I became the thief who took her place. But I had indeed lived as the adopted daughter for 20 years. The family raised me. That debt was real. But I had already repaid that debt in our past life. Even in this new life, I let her choose first. A smile touched my eyes. From this moment, Sierra and I owed each other nothing. Just then the Primal Spirit urged us. "You have received your identities. Now return to your tribes." The Primal Spirit's voice faded, and Sierra and I were pulled into our new bodies. We arrived at the very moment we had just completed the mating contracts with our males. Sierra sauntered toward her 3 males, swaying her hips. Their eyes burned with intense possessiveness. Other males watched with envy, but none dared challenge them. Her males were the tribe's white tiger, black lion, and hawk. Against their absolute strength, the others could only stare at the delicate, beautiful female. Behind me stood a one-eyed wolf, an eagle that couldn't fly, and what looked like a harmless cat. My own body was a white wolf. I admired my sharp claws and teeth with satisfaction. Among wolf packs, the white wolf held the highest status. But such a form wasn't popular with male beasts. Sierra basked in everyone's obsession with her. When the males looked at me, they showed only disgust. That's why my former self had been given these 3 most undesirable crippled males. But Sierra never understood one thing. Only your enemies truly want you to be weak. I looked at the 3 beasts and led them back to our territory without a word. As they watched my calm attitude, they grew uneasy. They couldn't shift, and their beast forms were crippled. They followed me warily, as if afraid of angering me. Back at the cave, I frowned. It was damp and dark and no place to live. Wait inside. I'll be back soon. Maybe it was a lingering human instinct, but I instinctively disliked the dark, damp place. When I returned with firewood and prey, joy filled my eyes. The power and speed of this body were beyond my imagination. I was certain my strength wasn't less than Sierra's 3 males. When I stepped into the cave, I noticed it had been tidied. The stone bed was covered with soft grass and hides. A small flower sat on the stone table. The 3 beasts watched me with unreadable expressions. I threw the prey in front of them, and they swallowed nervously. Eat. I'll eat later. I didn't like raw meat. I built a fire, tore off a piece and started roasting it. They stared at me in surprise. In their old tribe, even if they brought back prey, they weren't allowed the first bite. They only got scraps or rotten leftovers. None of them had ever been given fresh food before. When they didn't move, I grew confused. I took the roasted meat and offered it to them. Would you prefer it cooked? No. You are our mate. You hunted this. We should wait for you to eat first, then give us our share, the one-eyed wolf said, his expression complicated. I shook my head. We don't follow those rules here. I'll need your help hunting in the future. My name is Elena. If you need anything, just tell me. The 3 males looked at me, their eyes flickering. I'm Marcus. These 2 are Corbin and Wyatt. They can't speak yet. Tell me what you need. Maybe it was the hunt, or my body still adjusting, but I felt utterly drained. I'll rest first. If you're hungry, eat. Could you watch the fire? I found a spot in the cave and fell into a deep sleep. What I didn't know was that after confirming I was asleep, Corbin and Wyatt looked at me coldly. They extended their claws, stopping just inches from my throat. Marcus blocked them. Marcus, what are you doing? Have you forgotten how she abandoned us in the last life? Corbin hissed. I want to tear this woman apart. If I had woken up, I would have seen that Corbin and Wyatt could already speak. She's not the same one, the one-eyed wolf said, his gaze dark. When I woke, evening had already fallen. I lifted my hand, only to find my sharp claws were gone. In their place was a pale human arm. A scream caught in my throat. Had I been thrown back into the nightmare of my past life? Marcus rushed in at the sound. The moment he saw me, he froze. Elena, you shifted? His voice came out rough, and his beastly face grew hot. Only then did I realize, flushing, I was completely naked. I concentrated, and with a surge of energy, I shifted back into my white wolf form. Congratulations, Elena. You can shift into human form. Marcus's eyes gleamed darkly. The woman before him was the blessed vessel from the past life, and far more beautiful than the current one. But to his surprise, I didn't live in human form like Sierra did. I acted as if the shift had never happened. I told him not to tell anyone I could shift. I didn't want trouble. Without absolute power, beauty was a threat. In the following days, I taught the tribe how to hunt strategically, how to build wooden shelters, and started military training for the younger wolves. Marcus and the others were included. Corbin and Wyatt seemed to realize I was different from their past mate. One day they accidentally started speaking. I didn't think much of it. The reason they couldn't shift or speak was simply lack of power. With enough training and energy, shifting would come. During this time, I took them hunting, taught them techniques, and they grew much stronger than before. Beasts that survived with crippled bodies were no ordinary creatures. When one door closes, another opens. Marcus, blind in one eye, gained incredibly sharp hearing. Corbin, who couldn't fly yet, had razor-sharp claws. And Wyatt was no cat. He was a lynx, even more dangerous than a wolf. I looked at them with a smile. I believed that if I taught them to survive on their own, they wouldn't meet the same tragic end as before. I looked at our gradually expanding territory, but worry not at me. I remembered that this year's winter would be especially harsh. Wolves weren't the strongest race, except for the white wolves. Most of our tribe were either old or young. But beyond winter, an even greater challenge awaited. In spring, after the snow melted, a great war would break out among the tribes. I heard that in Sierra's tribe, she was teaching the beastmen human wisdom. Using fire to cook, refining mineral salt to flavor food, making tools, and urging them to wear clothes. Her 3 males adored her. The cooked food was delicious, the tools handy, so they went along with her wishes. They called her the blessed vessel. I knew she was walking the path I had walked in the past life. I sneered inwardly. Unrefined salt contained carcinogens, and anyone who owned a pet knew that salt caused organ failure. Overusing tools would make them lose their speed and agility. So I didn't force Marcus and the others to eat cooked food all the time. I had considered the nature of every beast around me. Yet I overlooked one thing, myself. I forgot what this body would demand when the season turned. Especially for wolves, the mating season is long and brutal. And I was no longer just human. By the time I realized something was wrong, it was too late. I couldn't even maintain my beast form, and shifted back into human shape against my will. I locked myself in the cave. Marcus's worried voice came from outside. Elena, are you okay? They had come to see that I wasn't the Sierra from the last life. They had started opening their hearts to me. I shut them out and soaked myself in ice-cold water. But I overestimated myself. The water grew warm, and my fever didn't break. Instead, my body burned with unbearable heat. In my feverish haze, I collapsed into a cold, strong embrace. Looking up, I saw a strikingly handsome face, one I covered. It didn't detract from his looks. If anything, it made him more wild and dangerously attractive. Behind him were 2 equally gorgeous men, one cool and reserved, the other soft and boyish. Both looked at me with concern. Elena, let us help. Marcus's voice was hoarse, almost hypnotic. He pulled me against him. The moment our skin touched, he felt like a cool spring in the middle of a desert. My throat burned, and I clung to him like a dying traveler in the desert, desperate for more. The 3 of them stood outside the cave, looking at each other in confusion. They couldn't figure it out. They had modeled their human forms after the males that females usually found attractive. In the past life, Sierra couldn't take her eyes off such men. But now that they had finally managed to shift, I had thrown them out of the cave. Only then did Corbin and Wyatt truly believe that I was not the Sierra from the past life. When I came out of the cave the next morning, I looked exhausted. I saw the 3 of them waiting at the entrance. You. I started, but didn't know what to say. Their eyes held something unexpected, hurt, but also respect. No wonder she was called the blessed vessel. She had actually endured that alone. Elena, please eat something and regain your strength. Marcus placed a bowl of meat soup in front of me. Rest for a while. We'll handle the hunting. I nodded and didn't refuse. Between the mating fever and the ice baths, my energy was completely drained. I lay on the stone bed, thinking about the war that would come after winter. In the past life, this was the same battle where Marcus and the others died protecting Sierra. And also when I sent the 3 males who had been my mates in the past life, Blaine, Dante, and Griffin, to rescue the scattered beasts of Clear Spring tribe. The rescued beasts had been completely devoted to their saviors. In the past life, Wildwood tribe had grown larger and larger, and the beasts had been fiercely loyal to their leaders. But this time a dark glint flashed in my eyes. If Blaine, Dante, and Griffin wanted to take in those Clear Spring survivors again, they would face a much harder fight. How could the pampered beasts of Sierra's tribe compare to my pack, who had been surviving out in the wild? Sierra must have started realizing that being the blessed vessel wasn't so easy. The Primal Spirit had given her fertility, but not a strong body. For Sierra, the mating act brought nothing but pain. But to the beastmen, reproduction was the highest duty. I wondered if Sierra could endure that kind of torment. In a few more days, the current alpha of the wild, the supreme ruler of all tribes, would announce his retirement. Whether anyone wanted the position or not, war was unavoidable. In the past life, I had used the Alpha title as leverage to control the three beasts. I wondered what Sierra would do this time. Sure enough, when I saw her again, her belly was swollen. From the way she walked, it was clear those three beasts didn't understand the meaning of tenderness. But when she saw me, a flicker of pride still shone in her eyes. "Elena, women conquer the world by conquering men," she said. "In this life, the Alpha's mate will be mine. Everything you worked your whole life for will become mine." Then she looked at the three males behind me, and her expression changed. "Who are you?" "Elena, you're betraying your own beasts." Marcus and the others stepped in front of me, staring coldly at Sierra. Even though she looked different, they recognized her easily. That arrogant, demanding manner was exactly the female who had gotten them killed in the past life. "Stay away from Elena." Marcus's eyes were like ice. "Are you Elena's mates?" Sierra's eyes lit up with heat as she looked at Marcus. His face was just as handsome as Blaine and the others, if not more so. She bit her lip. Then she looked at me with fresh venom in her eyes. Why, even when Elena looked like a hideous beast, did these males still adore her so much? She had just seen Marcus and the others peeling grapes and cutting meat, carefully placing everything in front of me. Suddenly, she flashed a seductive smile and swayed her hips toward them. How about considering a different female? But before she could get close to Marcus, the three of them shifted into their beast forms and snarled, driving her back. Compared to their feeble forms in the past life, their bodies were now much larger and stronger. I watched them with satisfaction. It was ironic, really. In our past human life, Sierra had changed my university major to livestock management just to spite me. "Elena, I did it for you. If Mom and Dad don't want you anymore, you can go back to the mountains. This way, you'll have job training," she had said, her face twisted with malice. She wanted to grind me into the ground. I felt guilty and gave in every time. And in the end, it cost me my life. Now I owed her nothing. Besides, every beast in my tribe was in excellent condition. That major turned out to be useful after all. But Sierra's tribe, Wildwood, wasn't doing well. The pups born recently either died young or were deformed. Sarcasm flickered across my face. Of course they were unhealthy. Heavy metal salt was poisonous. And living under civilization, dependent on tools, Blaine, Dante, and Griffin together couldn't defeat a single one of Marcus and his companions. Let alone me, with the primal spirit's power flowing through my veins. Sierra looked at me with scorn. "Elena, they're only using you temporarily. When they become Alpha of the wild, they'll throw you away. The Alpha has the right to choose any female. In your current form, you'll be nothing but discarded." I walked to the ceremonial stone and pressed my paw print onto the stone slab. "Who told you that our tribe is letting them compete?" I looked at Sierra's shocked face, my eyes filled with mockery. She glared at me with hatred. But when she saw Blaine and the others approaching, she grew arrogant again. "Elena, our Wildwood tribe is rising. We're moving toward the highest form of civilization. Don't regret this when spring comes after the winter." I watched her retreating figure with a smirk. Sierra thought she could build a civilization? Laughable. After 2 lifetimes, she still didn't understand the rules of this place. Civilization? Fists were the only rule that mattered. After returning to the tribe, winter came quickly. During the fall, I had led the wolf pack to find enough food. By late autumn, we had dug out a root cellar. Anything that couldn't be stored easily was turned into pickled meat and pickled vegetables. The salt we used was sea salt, purified through distillation. The ocean was only a day's journey from the continent. In my past life, as the blessed vessel, I couldn't travel far. But in this life, empowered by the Primal Spirit, I could cover 1,000 miles in a single day. We had also captured and raised young livestock from the surrounding plains enough to feed everyone through the entire winter. And winter was our domain, the white wolf's greatest advantage. We could blend perfectly into the snow, becoming invisible to any enemy. Thinking about the tools Sierra and her mates relied on, a smile touched my lips. Since they kept talking about building a civilization, fine. I would give them exactly what they wished for. I would show them what true civilization on this continent looked like. And it had nothing to do with spoilage and weakness. Before the snow melted, I led our tribe to absorb several smaller tribes, some through negotiation, others through swift, decisive force. No one expected a war in the middle of winter, when resources were scarce, but that was exactly why we struck. Our tribe never seemed to run out of supplies. By spring, we had expanded to control half of the Beastmen continent. And I became the tribe's alpha. The next time I saw Sierra was on the battlefield, the fight for the title of Alpha of the Wild. When she saw me, her eyes burned with pure hate. Elena, you were reborn too, weren't you? You knew those three were wolves in sheep's clothing. I was good to you. Why did you push me into the fire? I looked at her belly. It was flat now, but sagging with loose, wrinkled skin. Her skin was no longer fair and smooth. It looked weathered and rough. Even with the Primal Spirit's blessing, her body couldn't withstand the relentless abuse. The beasts of Wildwood tribe had been eating heavy metal salt for months. Miscarriages were inevitable. Only Sierra, blessed as the vessel, could barely carry pups to term. And now her tribe was filled with the weak, the sick, and the elderly, those who had somehow survived the winter. All thanks to her. Winter had hit hard, and Wildwood tribe hadn't stored nearly enough food. Her three mates discussed it and made a decision. They used her ability to trade for supplies. They offered her to other males, letting her bear healthy pups in exchange for food. Some of those males were enormous, and Sierra's broken body couldn't handle them. She became nothing but a breeding machine, giving birth again and again. Now she was no longer beautiful or holy. She was filthy, covered in a foul smell. I looked at her calmly. Sierra, you chose first. In both lives she made her own choice. She opened her mouth to say something, but the three males walked over. They looked at me with a mixture of caution and defeat. Then a strange, ugly smile crossed Sierra's face. She whispered something to them. But Marcus heard every word. They're going to coat their claws with Upas tree toxin, Marcus said. My eyes turned cold. Luckily, this was a primeval forest teeming with herbs, and where poison grew, the antidote was never far. Our livestock program had also covered basic herbology. I remembered the cure for Upas toxin. I told Corbin and Wyatt what the antidote looked like, and sent them to find it quickly. So when the poison beasts collapsed, gasping for air, Corbin returned shortly after with the redstem fern. The revived beasts looked at me with pure submission. Sierra and her males became the most despised beings on the continent for using poison. Her face turned gray. Her dream of being the alpha's mate was shattered. The crowd drove them out, and Sierra fled with her three males. But I knew Sierra hadn't given up. She was like a poisonous snake, hiding in the shadows. To draw her out, I shifted into my human form. I had only shifted briefly before. Now seeing me clearly, the others caught their breath. Sure enough, Sierra was hiding near the old poisonous swamp. She lunged at me. How stupid could she be? Did she think the same trick would work on me twice? I was a feral one now. Her movements looked like they were playing in slow motion. I dodged easily. She lost her balance and fell into the swamp. The black mud was corrosive. She struggled, screaming, but sank deeper. Save me. Elena, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I watched unmoved. I didn't move to help her. I owed her nothing in this life or the last. I had learned the lesson of the farmer and the viper long ago. When I didn't move, Sierra's face twisted with venom. Elena, why? Why do you get a better life than me? You stole everything from me. You should be the one dying. I looked at her with bitter mockery. Sierra, I don't owe you. Being switched at birth wasn't my fault. It was our parents' mistake. I was adopted. I never stole your place. I gave you everything you wanted. In both lives, you made your own choices. If anyone owes anyone, you owe me. Sierra's face contorted with rage, but the swamp was already swallowing her voice along with her body. She could only watch as she dissolved into the black muck. I watched her sink, my expression frozen. Come out, I said. Using your own female as a scapegoat. What kind of cowards are you? From the deep forest, Blaine, Dante, and Griffin stepped out. When they saw me, their eyes burned with obsessive desire. They quickly regained their composure, walked toward me gracefully, and knelt at my feet. Great Alpha of the Wild, we only wish to be your mates. The Primal Spirit guided us to find our blessed vessel. You look exactly like the goddess in our dreams. Before they could finish, Marcus knocked them to the ground. Corbin and Wyatt watched them, their eyes cold and unyielding. When charm failed, Dante and Griffin bared their true fangs. But Corbin and Wyatt were no longer the crippled bird and helpless cat. Even with one wing, Corbin could still fly. Griffin, Sierra's hawk, was torn from the sky, stripped of his feathers, and crashed to the ground motionless. Dante clutched his bleeding wounds, getting weaker by the second. Blaine reached for the crossbow hidden beneath his cloak. He and Sierra had made it together. The bolts were coated with poison. But against absolute speed and strength, their tricks were useless. Marcus grabbed his throat and bit down. Blaine went still. I watched the three males who had fought beside me, a satisfied smile on my face. They had come so far. Without Blaine, Dante, and Griffin, the Wildwood tribe was soon absorbed. Sierra had raised her beasts poorly. Going against their nature always led to ruin. Our tribe grew larger and larger, eventually covering the entire continent. Marcus, Corbin, and Wyatt became powerful warriors, leading us to victory after victory. When they had conquered all the land, the three of them stood before every beast and knelt at my feet. They made me the alpha of the wild. Willingly, devotedly. I smiled, shifted into my human form, and walked toward the highest throne. From that day on, I became the ruler of this continent, the alpha of the wild.
This is Listening Novel. We appreciate you spending your time with us. If you enjoyed today's story, please like and subscribe for more stories, and stay tuned for what's next.